Yo, Trey.
Alright guys, back in the video, and this time we're at locals, and me and my boy Jonathan just split first place basically. Had the same exact record, so and I was playing Cooler and he was playing the Goku deck. If you haven't checked it out, I'm posting it as well. But Cooler, when it attacks, draw a card. If you minus your battle, decrease a battle card your opponent controls, they mill a card. And on the front side, it does not draw, but on the back side, it draws. Awaken, draw one, untap one. And then you get the sick ability, or same exact abilities, but if it works on your turn and your opponent's turn, which is very important for extending plays and drawing cards. So for blue-red cards, because this is a blue-red deck, you have your 4-check lands, which actually has a relevant effect for pushing for damage, but it rarely comes up. But it's still pretty good. You got your 4 super combo, yes, and this is a 4-of in this deck. You really need it to say you charge this turn 1. You can arrive on your opponent's first turn.
Sick. I saw you do that to a couple people.
For Majin Buu. And this guy is most definitely a 4-of. Some people are talking about playing 3 or none. I'm like, you're crazy. This card is ridiculous. It recycles back your counter plays. It's just free. It draws you a card, plus your leader draws you a card, and it just recycles value. And this is your man here, your main man, Cooler. This is the way the deck really wins. It doesn't seem that broken until you see how the interaction is with this card. So Cooler, whenever it's played, you choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, minus 10k them, and then your opponent mills 1, and then your leader mills 1 for each for your leader. So it's 3 if they have 2 battle cards on board, and it's ignoring barrier, which is insane. And you play Cooler during the same battle most of the time, or you wait for your opponent on your crackback on your turn, and then you pay 1, return him back to your hand, play him, attack with him, combo back the Beerus from drop area, and then play the Cooler. And then if you have another one of these in your hand, you can do it again.
I saw you do this to Greg, and it was really dope because you made him mill like 6 cards in one turn, off one play.
This deck's not a true way of like milling, but like sometimes you put your opponent in a corner to where they really can't do anything, because if they play anything, they get counterplayed, and if they don't play anything, they're letting me play things,
and they're falling behind.
It's just, I'll have like 12 cards in my hand, and I don't have any way to lose my hand unless you're playing hand destruction, which I do have outs to that as well. Since you draw on both turns, you play these guys. This guy, if he becomes a 2-drop, if you have a dual energy, which you will, you hard mulligan for them, and this card, and this card. So you want your counter plays, and I'm sorry, this deck is expensive until they reprint this, but this card is, I was playing 3, but I really wanted to see this card. It hits everything, so it helps you mill, and then draw, and then you pumps your leader up 5, your opponent tries to go back in, and you restand with Beerus, and then you Bean, and then you Cooler, and then it's just...
Plays on top of plays.
It's just too good, and it makes it where your opponent can't be too aggressive, because if your leader flips over, he's one of the best leaders in the game at that point, because he draws 3 cards free. Like, all your cards are free, and it happens every turn that he's awakened, in most cases, because Hercule Majin Buu will recycle these, and recycle the block speeds. Now this card is pretty important, and you want it turn 2. That's one reason why you'll see, if you see that I don't play the 1-drop Frieza in the main deck. I had 2 on the side today, but I don't think it's really going to be that important. But I may make a few adjustments to take 2 in. But you really don't want to tap an energy for a 1-drop that draws you a card. It does have a neat mill effect, but you really don't need it. So I don't really want you to invest in that card if you're playing this exact build. Force into being the best card in the game. When I build decks, this is the first 4 cards I put in my deck. I'm honest.
I mean, it should be, if you're playing red, if you're playing blue, it should be the first card.
Like, even if you're not playing blue, you try to play this card.
Yeah, you do. You splash blue to play it.
Yeah, 3-pan. This card I may bump up to 4 because your leader is so broken on the front side. This is the only card you really want to pay 1 energy for, and it's just...
Help you awaken.
If your opponent is sitting back and is trying to make you lose hand and not playing anything, this is what you want. Another good 1-drop, Broly. This card was fantastic when I did play it, but a lot of times it's just sitting in your hand because your opponent tries to play around it at the first time they see it, which is fine by you, because if they're tapping their energy, they're more susceptible to being aggroed out. Honestly. Yeah. And then 2 After Image, the worst card in the deck. You don't feel your drop very easily, and you don't want to tap 1 energy for this, but that new SR Eagle Booster card probably will replace this. And yeah, but this card is decent.
But you do need it in certain matchups, like with the SCR Goku Vegeta. You definitely need it in that matchup.
So my main deck is not catered to beating that deck, but this card, I do have some good cards that do without that, so I'm probably going to take this out of my main and put it in my side. It doesn't really do anything for the deck. This is technically a side deck card for this deck because you have Cooler as your main win con, as your win, like how you win. But your leader will always get around everything, so if you do get them down to 2 and then slap it down, this probably could... These 3 cards are probably the worst 3 cards in the deck, and they rarely come up, so I may take these out for something else.
I thought you were just getting in tune with your Marcel Russell.
We got 3 False Deadly Poison, and how we play this is we got 3 Chomp the Trickster and 3 Draw Apes. Now, honestly, this card only really comes up whenever you're grinding, and it's not that important. So if you don't have this card, it's not that important unless you're playing against a hand destruction deck, which I did play against round 1, and once you resolve this one time and then you awaken with your leader and draw that many cards, it's out of hands for them to actually be able to control your hand. But it is super good if they do make you discard and do this. But Poison's Bloodlust. And
Bloodlust is so good.
It's just, this card is insane. And the only real reason I was playing this is because I did want to be able to take a life and go down to 3, but that's still not even
worth it.
It's not worth it. You're just better off playing. I might play a 4th pan over one of these. But yeah, Poison is very pivotal. I do leave 3 energy open almost every game, and if you do tap 3 and you're at 4 life or whatever or higher, usually you're still good because beer is super combo to restand your energies. And then 1 smoke. I did end up getting this card. I drew it one time, but I was playing against Pierce, so the new revamp leader, which it was okay. That matchup was only favorable for him because he resolved 2 21s in game 2, and technically I would have won game 3. We just went to time. But I was still trying to figure out that deck and how it worked. You got, this guy's mills your opponent out, or you can kill them by taking 4 cards out of their hand or blow up their whole board. Usually just the milling them or taking 4 cards out of their hand.
Super
For the side
good.
deck, this is what I was rolling with today, but it's not that necessary. I was playing 2 Frieza and 2 Frieza. This guy is what I normally would go with if I'm playing a blue-red route. So if you guys don't have the yellow cards or you don't want to play them, even though Frost Deadly Poison is that powerful and Chomp of the Trickster is that powerful, you could just play 4 of Chomp of the Trickster and splash in 2 random yellow cards. It really don't even matter where they are. Crusher Ball, whatever you want it to be. It's really important to be able to play Poison in this deck just the way it plays, because its biggest weakness is the Victory Strike effects and stuff like that, and food and all that. So you're better off just having an out to it instead of just losing outright to it. And this card is pretty good, but it's not really going to come up that much in this build, especially with the activate main requiring 2 red, 1 blue. If you didn't charge a Poison at first, you won't be able to play this play this guy on turn 3, so probably won't play it in my side anymore unless I'm playing a different build. 1 Food Shrouded Mystery. Whenever you need an extra secret here eventually. Like, if they don't have an out of this and the game's grinding that long, like for example, if I was playing against Hatchiak, I probably would side this in.
Yeah.
And that matchup's probably pretty easy because they are forced to play battle cards to keep up with card advantage, and every time they do, they get milled. So 2 Turbo on the side. I don't know if I really need this card at all, but yeah, if I was gonna play it, I might just bump it up to 3 and take out something else.
Probably in the aggro matchups.
That's about the only time I probably use it, but even then, you want them to hit you. And if you go to 3, you're fine in most cases. Cease to Exist is
Good
mainly
card.
for the Invoker matchup or something that needs a battle card stick. But if you don't know what it does, it ignores barrier. It hits 2 battle cards, minus 25, so removal. And then 2 Death Beam. I'm not sure which one of these cards is technically better, so I was trying 2 of each. This card you actually pay to 3 for because
It's that good.
it's that good. Because if your opponent just happens to go in with something that's really ridiculous, you just out it. But honestly, I'm playing yellow, so this is probably a little harder to play in this build. I didn't really use my side very much today, other than I did side in these a couple times. It's still kind of hard to play because your second energy is sometimes yellow, so be wary of that if you're playing this exact kind of build. And then, yeah, I told you I sided 2 of these. I probably could have just put these 2 in the main and then took out the 2 after images.
And that could have been the,
And then I took out the 1 copy of the Kai and put it in a 4th pan. And that would probably have been a little smoother. But there's also a few options that you can play with a Frieza Unending Onslaught or whatever.
Yes.
It's almost a clone of Cooler, and it can discard the Ape, which is pretty interesting. But I'm going to have to test that card out a little more. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys are enjoying the videos and enjoying the Tournament Power if you're watching that currently. And we'll see you guys next time.